Good morning, crew. So today, Hoerner Happy Hour, it's early. I'm still waking up, but I wanted to make sure I hopped on here because I'm going to have a crazy day later. Lots of teaching between today and tomorrow. I have like 7 classes. It's a lot for me. So I'm going to walk through something that I've been talking to a couple of my instructors about, actually. So I've been taking their classes and trying to give them feedback. I think that's really important. If you guys have a manager or someone who can ride with you and give you feedback, super valuable. I know I say it all the time, but it's really important. So I've been riding with them, and I found something very interesting that I hadn't noticed before. And I triggered the discussion with them, and they hadn't even thought about it, which is a perfect piece of feedback, right? Because that's something that they can work on, they can grow with, and they didn't realize they were doing. So something that I noticed was that a lot of my instructors, so we all ride to the beat at my studio. We don't have monitors, so we use the beat as a way to find the RPM that we want. I think it's a very valuable tool. I know a lot of people associate beat-based riding with choreography, but it doesn't have to be. So we have a couple different rides, one with choreography, one without, and both of them ride to the beat. Now, something about the beat, if you ride to the beat or if you want to start, and check out on my website, I have a free guide for matching music, and it shows you how to ride to the beat, basically. But something that I saw was missing was variety in the RPMs, in the music choices. So often if we don't have a monitor in front of us, we're probably not really looking at what the RPM is specifically. We're just looking, does it work for what I want to do with this song? I would encourage you guys, if you're creating a playlist in a Word doc or an Excel doc or on paper or whatever, if you're thinking it out, whatever you're doing, I would use either sort your music or whatever it is to find the RPMs. You can even tap to the beat to figure it out yourself. Find the RPMs of all the songs that you're using, the BPMs, and that translates to the RPMs. The reason why this is important is because if you have every single song of your playlist is the same beat, it's the same kind of, maybe it's 128 or 64. 128 tends to be the typical BPM of a song. So a lot of instructors will have an entire playlist that's 128, and they maybe flip-flop between 64 and 128 for speed. Hey, Teresa. If you're beat-based riding, that means that those songs only give you really two options for the speed that you're going to go at for the whole playlist. So I know it's so much easier to find a song that is 128 RPMs over anything else, but there are plenty of songs out there that are not. So maybe pick some that are, 90 to 100 range and do something on a fast flat, or pick something that's a little bit slow, take half that and do a little bit heavier hill, right? So things like this are very important in the flow of your playlist, in the momentum of your playlist, because if you're constantly just flip-flopping between 64 and 128 or whatever it is, and you're staying at pretty much the same beat, the same kind of routine the whole time, it is not going to challenge them, and it gets kind of boring, and it limits what you can do with the music. So you're not going to do like a long song of jumps at 128. You could try if your riders are super advanced, maybe that will work for you, but it's much easier to do a few sets of them if the BPMs are a little bit lower, if the RPMs are a little bit lower. Same thing with a heavy, heavy hill. You can't really do a super, super heavy hill in the high 60s. You want to be able to let them calm down a little bit, maybe into the 50s. So things like this we have to consider when we're choosing our songs and we're choosing the variety in our playlist. So go back and look at your last playlist and think about look up the RPMs, BPMs, and keep flip-flopping. Look up the BPMs, determine what the RPMs would be by taking basically either the BPM or half of that, right? And see if every single song you have in there ends up being around the same. Because if so, next time you make a class playlist, I want you to think about adding something in that's a little bit different. And again, you could use Sort Your Music with Spotify to check this out. I think Apple Music actually shows you in Apple Music what the BPM is. So there are plenty of resources to do this, and I think it is very worthwhile to do. My instructors that I was riding with, this tended to be the case, that they had a lot of the same kind of BPM the whole way. So think about that. Add some variety to your ride, your playlist, and see what happens. I think you'll find that it's pretty helpful to do that. So let me know if you have any questions in regards to what you do at each RPM speed, BPM speed. Maybe I can talk about that next week. I know there's a lot of question about that, like how fast can I actually do jumps? How fast can I sprint out of the saddle? What are kind of the barriers around that? Happy to discuss that. It's definitely subjective, but I can tell you what I do. Hey, Kim, I'm just signing off now, but go back and watch. This was a short one just about variety in BPMs and RPMs within your playlist, but I think it's a really helpful tip, so check it out. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day, and I hope you have some sunshine because it's pouring here right now. See you later.